certain right triangles, you don't necessarily have to use the Pythagorean theorem. You can use uh, another equation, specifically depending on if the right triangles are two conditions. One condition is 30-60, 30-60-90, or 45-45-90. So the first theorem that we have is that if we have a 45-45-90 triangle, so 90 degrees, this is 45 degrees. This is 45 degrees. And let's say on a 45 degree angle, the legs are going to be the same distance because they're opposite of the same angle. So these guys will be the same distance. And then the square root of 2 times x is going to be the hypotenuse. So for a 45 degree, 90 triangle, where the angles in the triangle is 45, 45, and 90, you can use this equation to find the leg or the hypotenuse, and it's going to be the hypotenuse is equal to the leg times the square root of 2. The hypotenuse is equal to the leg times the square root of 2. That is the equation. Here, for A, they give me the clue that this is a 45, 45, 90. They give me the leg. I know this is the leg because this is the hypotenuse, opposite of this 90 degree. So this would be the hypotenuse. Here's the 90 degree. So this is the leg. So then for A, since I know that the leg is x, I can find the hypotenuse by multiplying the leg times the square root of 2. So this would be the hypotenuse, and that would be it. For B, in this case, the leg is equal to 3 square root of 2. That is my leg. So to find the hypotenuse, it would be 3 square root of 2 times the square root of 2. Things to note. When you multiply a radical where the number under the radicals are the same, it's the same thing as saying 2 squared square root, or you can say 2 square root, and the thing is being squared. The square and the radical symbols, these guys are opposite operations. They're doing the opposites, so they can cancel each other out. So this goes away, that goes away, and you're just left with what's inside of the radical. So in this case it would be 2. Alright, so with that in mind, when I multiply 3 root 2 times root 2, it's the same thing as saying 3 times 2, which is going to be equal to 6. So let's go through some more examples. Okay, so here, for number 1, we have here's my hypotenuse, here's the leg. We want to try to find the leg. So this is going to be 2 times the square root of 2, which is my hypotenuse, which is equal to the leg, which is x, times the square root of 2. So in order for me to find the legs, I'm just going to divide both sides by the square root of 2. That goes, that goes, that goes, that goes. Oops, just the square root of 2. And that leaves me with the leg, which is equal to 2. For number 2, the leg is equal to the square root of 2. We want to try to find the hypotenuse. So in that case, we're going to have the hypotenuse is equal to the square root of 2, which is the leg, times the square root of 2. And just like I said before, this is the same thing as saying 2 squared square root. They cancel each other out, so the answer is 2. Number 3, they give me that the leg is equal to 8. So in this case, the hypotenuse is D. So the hypotenuse is going to be equal to the leg, which is 8, times the square root of 2. So D equals 8 square root of 2. Alright, so for this one, it says to find the length of the leg of a 45, 45, 90 when you know that the hypotenuse is 6. So, in order to do that, the hypotenuse is 6, which would equal the leg times the square root of 2. So I'm going to divide both sides by the square root of 2. Alright. So then 6 is equal to, or the leg is equal to the square root of 2. Here, 6 over square root of 2. Here's the thing about this. We don't consider it simplified if there is a radical in the denominator. This is not simplified. So in order to simplify it, we're going to multiply both sides by the denominator. We do not like radical symbols in the denominator. So what happens here, this turns into 6 root 2 over 2 squared square root. And remember, the 2 squared, the square and the square root symbol cancels. So that goes and that goes. Which leaves us 6 square root 2 over 2, which is 3 square root of 2. Okay. So the other special condition is that of a 30, 60, 90 triangle. So if we had a triangle getting like that, here's the 60 degrees, here's the 30 degrees. This would be the short leg, right? Because the short leg is opposite of the 30-degree angle. This would be the long leg. The long leg is opposite of the 60-degree angle. And then this would be my hypotenuse. So there's two equations associated with the 30, 60, 90. The first one is that the hypotenuse is equal to 2 times the length of the shorter leg. 2 times the length of the shorter leg. And then the second equation is that the long leg is equal to the short leg times the square root of 3. Or, times the square root of 3. short leg times the square root of 3. Those are my two equations. So when we do these, look at number 6. They want us to find a variable. Here's the long leg because it's opposite of 60. Here's the short leg because it's opposite of 3. So if they wanted to find what the long leg is, we look at this equation here. We have the short leg. The short leg is square root of 3. So this would be square root of 3 times square root of 3, which is equal to 3. Now, if I wanted to find the hypotenuse, just in case you was wondering, I would just multiply the short leg, which is square root of 3, times 2. And this is actually my hypotenuse. CX. Alright, so notice that there's a 4 here, there's a 4 here, and then there's a 2 here. If I add the 2 and the 2, this is a 4, 4, and 4, which makes this an equilateral triangle. And since it's an equilateral triangle, I know that all the angles are the same. I would divide 180 by 3, and this would be 60, this would be 60, that would be 60. I have this perpendicular bisector, which cut these two guys in half, which also cuts this angle in half, because a perpendicular bisector of an equilateral triangle is also the angle bisector. So since it's cut in half, this is 30, this is 60, this is 90. So this is a 30, 60, 90 triangle. They give me the hypotenuse, they give me the short leg. So to find the altitude, this is the long leg. So long leg is equal to the short leg times the square root of 3. Short leg is 2. So long leg equals 2 root 3. H, the altitude. Now you can, keep it in radical form. I'm keeping them in radical form, but if you want to turn it into a decimal, you can. 2 times the square root of 3 is 3.46. If that's, I will take either answer. It doesn't bother me. All right. Number 7. So number 7, they give us this truck with and they say instead of it being raised 60 degrees, it's going to be raised 30 degrees. So first off, what does that look like? So here's our triangle. And now instead of it being raised 30, it's being raised, or 60, it's being raised 30, which means this is 60, and this is 30, and then this is 14. Since this is the 30 degrees, and they'll make this the shorter leg, this is 60, this would be the longer leg. Whenever they give you a 30, 60, 90, and they don't give you what the legs are, the first thing to do is to find the shorter leg, because you have, if they give you the hypotenuse, you can use that to find the shorter leg. So part 1, find the short leg. And that's going to be the hypotenuse is equal to the short leg times 2. So divide by 2. And the short leg is equal to 7. And in part 2, now that you have the short leg, you can find the long leg. And you can say that the long leg is equal to the short leg the square root of 3. And that equals, call that y. I'm going to leave a 7 root 3. But if you wanted to turn that into a decimal, it'd be 12.12. So the answers actually didn't change from the example in the book, because it's still a 30, 60, 90. The short leg is still 7. Long leg is still 12.12. Because it's a 30, 60, 90. It's just the orientation of the triangle is different. So this got rotated and flipped 90 degrees. Well, flipped 180 and rotated 90. Alright. Describe the location of the longer side and the short side of a 30, 60, 90. So 30, 60, 90, the short leg is always going to be opposite of the 30-degree angle. Short leg is always going to be opposite of the 30-degree angle. Opposite of the 30-degree angle. Long leg opposite of the 60-degree angle. And the hypotenuse is the hypotenuse, opposite of the 90-degree. Alright, that is this section. I hope you have a great rest of your day.